Hello world. The purpose of this repository or code is to show how data can be sent from a Google form to either PHP or Laravel. The data will not be stored to a database, but a TXT file as it is quicker or easier to test. I'm doing this to help solidify my own experience, particularly the Laravel aspect since I am new to it, and to help others, especially the less experienced. There will be two folders, Pure PHP and Laravel respectively, and I will be focusing on the Laravel side since the Laravel side is harder, especially for persons who are more accustomed to vanilla PHP and or have vanilla or pure PHP experience. So, in order to do this, we have two terminals that are open. The first terminal, we're going to run PHP artisan serve. Right. So now that we have this server that's running, we will have to go to the second terminal window. So this second terminal window will be used for ngrok. Why? Because in order to send information from Google Form to a backend, whether that be PHP or Laravel, that has to be done through Google Apps Script. But Google Apps Script can only work with a public URL that anyone on the internet can access. But since we're doing all of this testing and experimenting on the local host or the development environment, the way how to do that without using an actual domain that, let's say, I or you or anyone owns is through using ngrok to make the local host a public URL. So in order to do that, we're going to run an ngrok command. And please note that both the PHP Laravel server and ngrok have to use the same port. If you don't use the same port, it's not going to work from my previous testing and experimenting. So I'm going to click enter. Oh, so I think I have to. Oh, I know what the problem is. So the reason why we're getting this error is because we are in this folder. Now, this folder has two subfolders as we can see over here, which is Laravel and PHP. Now, the ngrok is inside of the Laravel folder, so we will have to cd directly into that. But then within the Laravel folder, we have the Google Form folder, which has all of the Laravel files, and it has ngrok at the root level. So then cd Laravel, then / Google Form, and then we're going to click enter. Great. And then we're going to run that ngrok command from earlier, and it should work. There we go. So now ngrok is running, and we can now take the local host environment or URL, and now it's public, and it's public at this URL here. So we're going to copy it, and we're now going to take this URL and place it inside of the Google Apps Script editor. So this is the relevant code. And this code can be found inside of the PHP folder and in the file called Google Apps Script.js. So this would work with either a PHP or Laravel backend. The only relevant thing to change would be this URL. So we are going to use a different URL since we're dealing with Laravel. This is the URL, for example, you would use if it's vanilla PHP. So we're going to come back to the Google Apps Script environment, specifically the editor or the code editor, which you can see on the right side here. And now we're going to replace the URL, and we have to append to that URL. We have to specify the file called API, and then we have to specify the endpoint called data. Previously, I was using